Hello, hello, hello. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening from wherever you're joining. It's a pleasure to have you once again on the software test drive. The software test drive is a quarterly event where we talk about all things software testing, from tips to how to's to career stories to ask me anything sessions. And today would be no less. We'll be talking about amazing things. We'll introduce that to us later on. We've got guest speakers in the house already. We also have a lot of sessions lined up for us. So if you still have colleagues who are yet to join, it's a good time to inform them to join in as we're starting right away. Today we'll be talking about keynotes. We have a keynote ready for us. We also have a career story. We get to learn about the journey of an experienced professional. We're also going to have a panel session where we talk about the topic, even for that, ask questions to the panelists. From the audience, from the team right here, I also got trivia for us to make it a little bit interesting before the end of the session. So it's a pleasure to have you here. Get ready and let's get started. Before we go, Harry, let's take the icebreaker.
All right. Thank you very much. This part of the world. Good afternoon, good evening from wherever you're joining us from. So, before we go straight into our topic of conversation today, we have a quick question that we are asking everyone here today. So, the question is, when you hear quality beyond QA, what's the first thing that comes to your mind? I mean, we have to understand that going with the topic for conversation for today, which is quality beyond QA, embedding testing in dev, and production about this now. Response in the comment section. When you hear quality beyond QA, what's the first thing that comes to your mind? For me, when I hear quality, I think I should just go ahead and answer the question. When I hear quality beyond QA, what comes to mind is being able to bring everybody in a development team, in a product team, to be able to align with the testing responsibilities, meaning that from the inception of the software development lifecycle, you are adding QA to every step of the way. So that is, for me, from my own perspective, that is what comes to my mind when I hear quality beyond just. So let's know in the comment section what your answers to this is. We can see a response here by Jafar saying quality across different parts of SDLC. All right, so
So as we wait for other people to drop their comments, this is a good way to drop your thoughts before
for
the
those
guest
of you
speaker.
that haven't done this yet, if you are just joining, make sure you do so at Get Scandium on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and LinkedIn. As we can see, our other speakers already joined us on the call. We have Oluwatosin Awodire on the call already, as well as Paul Holland. Someone is saying, John Aries is saying quality from day zero. All right, thank you very much for that, John Aries. So, like I said, moving on, embedding testing in dev and product workflows for bug-free releases. And to speak to us on this topic today, we have three amazing speakers that will be coming on stage to share their insights about what it means to have a team that looks that takes quality with us today. We have Paul Holland. Paul is the owner and principal consultant for Testing Thoughts, working remotely from his home in Cocoa Beach, Florida. He has over 27 years experience in software testing in various domains such as insurance, medical, banking, telecom, and retail. He specializes in adapting testing methodology, the software test drive. Please let's officially make welcome our first today. He is going to be taking Keenan, and he's going to be talking to us about quality beyond QA, embedding testing in dev, and product workflow for bug releases. Please, by saying welcome in the
Welcome,
comment
Paul.
section, by saying welcome, Paul, let's officially make welcome Paul to the stage as a discuss.
Great. Thank you, Paul, for joining us. I'm going to bring Paul on the stage right now. It's a pleasure to have you. We appreciate your presence here, Paul. Paul. I had to wake up very early. I understand at your time right now, it's very, very early. We truly appreciate you making out time with us. Thank you very much. So I'm going to hand off to Paul right now to continue from here.
Thank you. All right. And thanks for taking over from Henry and his horrible internet connection. That was good. Hello, everybody. As already stated, my name is Paul Holland. That bio is a little old. I'm older than the bio indicates. I've been doing this for 30 years. I'm one of 5 people worldwide who's considered an instructor of the Rapid Software Testing course that was created by James Bach and Michael Bolton. My current role is I'm self-employed as the owner and principal consultant at Testing Thoughts. And over 30 years ago, I was in the Canadian military and I flew Sea King helicopters off the back of destroyers. But that was a previous life. So I'm here today to talk about whole team testing, and there's a few problems when companies want to move to whole team testing. There's one of the ones that I didn't put on the slide, but it's an interesting approach or something to think about, that if quality is everybody's business, then it's nobody's business. In other words, if you decide to get rid of a dedicated team of testers, then there will be nobody left to be the advocate and the voice of quality specifically as their focus. So I don't have a problem with having more people involved in quality and thinking about quality from earlier in the development cycle. I actually encourage that, but I am not a proponent of replacing the testing team totally. Some companies have gone that way, but typically those companies aren't in critical infrastructures like banking or telecom. They're more along the lines of entertainment companies that do that, and they end up just using their customers as their testing team. So if quality is important to you and your organization, I strongly hope that they keep a dedicated testing team. But let's get on with what I was going to start with here. So as we move to whole team testing, and a lot of people are doing that, I've heard statements like shift left to get testers and thinking about testing earlier in the cycle. But there's some problems with having other people involved. The first one that I'm going to talk about is the mindset. Typically a developer who's written their code, it's their baby, they're proud of it, they want to show that it works. So their focus on showing everybody that the code they wrote can do what it was supposed to do. So the focus of the developers is, look, it works. I've shown that it works. While a tester's mindset should be focused on how might it fail in ways that are important to the company and our customers. The approach to testing. Developers, again, as part of their mindset of does it work, tend to rely heavily on automation. There's also a very large aspect of developers testing their own code. If they were aware of the blind spots in their code, they would have written tests or written their code in a way to fill those blind spots. But often the reason the bugs exist is the developer's failure to identify the holes in their own code, the things they didn't think of. And we'll talk a little bit about that later on. They also tend to rely heavily on automation, writing unit tests, which is great. I love when a developer gives me code that's very well covered with unit tests that get executed as part of a pipeline, a CI/CD pipeline, as when they check in their code. That's tends to result in a lot more reliable and stable code. Testers should be utilizing automation as well, typically not at the unit test level that the developers use, but at an API or application level. But they should also be focusing on exploration and discovery. And again, I'll talk about that in a bit. And one of the biggest problems, and it's not just with whole team testing, it's with quality in general, is communication or a lack of communication. I've heard people complaining that, oh, I didn't get enough requirements. The product owner just gave me an empty ticket and it just has a title, or it only has a couple of points in it and it doesn't have all of the requirements I need. I'm here to say, even if you got a book of 400 pages, it still wouldn't have all of the requirements in it. And writing out more requirements and having them written out and captured is not going to fix that problem. So, all right, I'm going to talk about these three elements here, and we'll go on. So, in the mindset, a lot of times the developers are looking at conservative confirmatory testing. So, and this goes for testers too, especially new testers who don't have a wealth of experience of how things might be failing that they can be trying. But hopefully this little talk will help you be a little better at finding bugs. So if you're why did my slide deck just change? When you're exploring in an unfamiliar space, you might have a concept in mind as to what the product is. In this case, we think the product is a circle, and I'm going to test these three spots, and they're passing, so therefore it's a circle. I think you can all see by such a blatant example that you might be wrong. You could easily be fooled by a very different shape. So this is a simplistic example, but it's what a lot of testing is. So how can we fix that? Well, you might think as an example of a statement you might have about the software. Maybe your job is to test that the software is correctly sending a particular set of data to the database and it's being saved. So then you execute tests to prove or confirm that you're right. But in doing so, you are only showing that it can work. You're not trying to figure out how it might not work and how it might fail. So the goal of testing, the goal of all testing, whether it's being done by a tester or by a developer or anybody else who's helping, it needs to be to try to disprove the theory. Just like the scientific method, you create a hypothesis and then you have to try to disprove the hypothesis. And if you can't disprove it, then you might be onto something. So trying things that contradict your current internal assumptions or models is the goal. So what can you do? Well, you can do something called creeping and leaping. So when you think you know what the product does, you can creep, which is trying things that just barely violate the pattern in a variety of ways, or you can leap, taking things to an extreme but still should pass. Some people think immediately of, oh, I'm going to be boundary testing here. I'm testing the maximum and the minimum. That's part of it, but there's other aspects to it. We're not just focused on documented boundaries. We're actually searching for undocumented boundaries. So creeping and leaping, we starting out with this shape and our basic confirmatory tests, which still need to be done. And then you can creep, going outside the scope, saying this one should fail because it's breaking my model, my vision of what the product is supposed to be doing. You then can also leap and you grab some spots here again around the boundary, but again, remember, we're looking for undocumented boundaries too. And so creeping and leaping can fail. It's definitely not going to be flawless. It is a fallible method. It's a heuristic. A fallible method for solving a problem or making a decision is the definition of heuristic. So what are the three reasons? Well, maybe you didn't do enough creeping, and if you'd crept in a different spot, it still would have passed. Or maybe you leapt over something that's important, and the shape that, even though all your testing said it was a square, it ends up that it's a happy face. So though you might not do enough creeping, you might leap over something important. But one of the biggest ones to overcome is a failure to reach beyond your imagination. If your software is designed to only do the one thing, in this case represented by the happy face, you may have other features of your software that your customers have found. Thank you, Microsoft. That your customers have found that will operate your software in a different way, and then they'll be using that way of your software being used, and you aren't even aware that they're doing that. So one example of that could be you might have, oh, what the heck? All right, I'll go to the next slide when I open it up again. You may end up with sorry about this. You may end up with your software does things that you're not even aware of. So I don't have a huge amount of time here, but at one of the companies I worked for, we had a software that would send out an email. It was a feature to send an email to the administrators of the service. And our biggest customer had over 600 of these things set up, and each administrator of each of those 600 things was an administrator of every one of the things. So if I was an administrator of project 1, I was also administrator of project 650. So all 650 projects had all the administrators of all of them, so that the senior people in the company could send an email to all 20,000 administrators in the company. We never designed it for that. Our design of that feature was to send an email to maybe 20 people. At the most, I was probably thinking 50 people. And when I found out that our biggest customer had over 20,000 administrators on every single project, it was one of those happy faces around the intended design. So what can you do? Well, if you think that the product is going to send a list of 3 numbers is saved in the database. Okay, so that's my thought. I have 3 numbers and they're going to be saved in the database. That's what this API does. Well, you can analyze your own thinking. So I have a list. How is it structured? Is it delimited? What can be the delimiters? Is it just commas? Can it be periods? Can it be colons? Does it get processed in any way? Is anything ignored? What if I have leading or trailing spaces? of 3. Okay, well, what if I send 2 or 4 or a different number? Of 3 numbers, well, is it only numbers? What if I send letters or symbols or spaces? It gets saved. Well, where exactly does it get saved? Is it only saved in one place? Does it get saved locally? Does it get saved in a single table? What's the format? If I send non-numbers, does it send errors? And in the database, well, what type of database is it? Are the numbers, do they get committed when they get saved, or is it just saved and not being committed? Are they all put in the same table? Are they put in multiple tables? So by just writing out your statement as to what you're testing, you can analyze every piece of it, and that should give you a huge amount of test ideas that you can go through and try to figure out how to test differently. All right, next step is an approach to testing. Well, testing is to find bugs. And the definition that Jerry Weinberg came up with for quality is value to some person. And we added, James and Michael added, who matters. So if your customers have an opinion of they're looking for a particular value, back to the thing, the value that the emailing administrators provided, that was a quality feature to them. And if that had ever stopped working, that would have been a problem. A bug is anything about the product that threatens the value. So if we change the product and we limited the number of emails that could be sent to administrators, that would be a bug, according to one of our customers. They're intentionally inclusive so that you're looking at a very wide scope as to what is considered a bug. So I'm going to very quickly go through checking versus testing. You may have heard of this argument in the past. It's been going around for about 13 years. But if you're operating a product to check specific output, so you do a particular set of steps, you evaluate an algorithm to see what comes out. And then if the algorithm says, hey, that's not supposed to happen, then you can report that. We call this a check because when you create this check, you're testing, but as soon as you know what the program does at this point, you're then continuously checking that when you do the same thing, that the answer that the computer is giving you is the same. So it's just a check. Last time it said pass, this time it says pass. Oh, this time it failed. The check failed. That's pretty much what scripted testing gives you. All automation and any repetitive manual scripting gives you that. Testing is a lot more than that. It's evaluating the product, exploration, experimentation, questioning, studying, modeling. You need to create the conditions necessary so you can inform your clients about risk, and you need to acquire the competence. Coming to conferences like this, learning more, continuous improvement of yourself is going to help you be a better tester. So automation can only check. It can only check what it's programmed to check. To find new meaningful bugs, you need to explore. You need to interact in the way your customer is going to use it. It needs to be used in unexpected ways, and it needs to be used in extreme ways. You want to indulge your curiosity. What would happen if I did this? And then if you're doing that, you often get somebody coming up and saying, no user would do that. And we need to stop saying that. What that really means is no user that I can think of who I like would do that on purpose. But if somebody ever tells you no user would do that, you can say, well, I just did. Or you can say, well, what might a user do by mistake? I've pasted 3 pages of a Word document in as my password when I tried to log into some place. You can do a lot of things unintentionally as a good user. Also, malicious users, someone trying to break into your system, they are going to do things that no user you like would do on purpose. So keep this in mind. It's not an if no user would do it, then stop users from doing that. Put protections in place that would block a user from doing this thing that causes bad things to happen. So should we be doing scripted testing? Yes, there are multiple times where scripted testing is the right thing to do. But if we're looking for bugs, and let's say we have a big field that has bushes and grass over it, and there's Easter eggs, which would be the bugs in the system, hidden in this big field, the software. And then we walk across the field and we find some Easter eggs. And now we want to go find more Easter eggs. If we walk along the exact same path using a scripted test, using a script to look for Easter eggs, you're not going to find any new Easter eggs. You need to vary what you're doing. You need to explore. And if you explore, you're going to be more effective. You're still not going to find all of them, but you will find some. All right, communication. A Three Amigos meeting. This is by far my strongest recommendation. During development, before development starts, having a dedicated meeting with the product owner, the developer, and the tester, the three amigos. Amigo, Spanish for friend. The three friends get together and they have a deep discussion about the feature. They create a common understanding, a tribal knowledge of the new thing that's about to be developed. They learn the details, and your job as a tester in that meeting is to be asking challenging questions, mentioning actions that will be that you're going to be testing, and then the developer will go, "Oh, that's a good idea," and then make a note saying, "Geez, that's something I didn't think about. I'm going to write that down and make sure my code doesn't fail when that test is run." So as an example, if you say, "I'm going to be pasting 1,000,000 characters into every text box and hitting submit," the developer might say, "I am going to put input constraints on every text box." I have corrupted a database by that trick, by the way. If you want one sort of side thing, an easy attack is just get something that can generate something called a counter string, and make it 1,000,000 characters long, paste it into every text box, and hit submit, and watch the sparks fly. All right, so what can you do in a Three Amigos meeting? So this is a list of things. Take a screenshot. I think the slides are going to be shared, but you can point at a diagram. Here's an example diagram. It's just totally a simple architecture diagram. And you can just point at any one. You don't even have to understand the diagram. You could be brand new to the company and go into a technical meeting and you hear people talking about, "Oh, here, API Gateway 1 is going to be talking to MS1. And then you can say, "Okay, well, what happens if that doesn't work? What if MS1 doesn't respond? What's going to happen?" And then, can that ever happen at the wrong time? What error checks are we doing? And you can just point at different spots on the diagram. If there's an arrow that indicates a single direction, you can ask, why does my slide keep changing? Anyway, you can ask this looks like it's a single direction. Is there an acknowledgement that comes back, or is it literally just screaming into the abyss? Because if an acknowledgement is coming back, it should be a two-way arrow. What do these arrows mean? If the data goes from here to here and it gets corrupted, what happens? What's the greatest load that can handle? All of these questions are ways that you can make yourself efficient and effective in a meeting and get deeper discussions happening and help create a better product right at the beginning, before code is written. These questions should be asked before code is written. So, in summary, in addition to checking and testing that the system can work, you want to try to look as to how it might fail. And just mentioning it to people, instead of a developer testing their own code, have them test each other's code. Getting them to think differently is challenging. Some developers can do it. Most are not good at looking for failure mechanisms. The first step, be aware of the change in mindset. Just tell people, talk about it, and have them be aware that they need to be looking at how things should fail. They're more likely to find them if they're aware of that. Sharing bugs with the entire team. If anybody finds a good bug that was missed, don't treat it as a blame for the developer. Treat it the way the flight industry, the airline industry treats a flight safety incident. They don't blame, they investigate, and then they share their findings in a helpful way so that everybody can learn about the problems that happened. If it's a pilot error, if it's a technical failure, there's a deep investigation that happens and it's shared so everyone can learn from it. And the third thing is practice. People need to try to do this more and more. They need to be looking for ways that things fail. That will develop a bucket of heuristics that they can use in the future to improve their code. And that is it. 1 minute over. So close.
Amazing. Amazing. I was trying to take notes of very important points. I wanted to just be top, top, top. But before I knew it, my list was full. I almost could not ignore any point. So I don't think I'm going to be able to go over everything because it will then mean going over the lecture again. Thank you so much, Paul. Power packed with a lot of tips. I mean, where do I start? I think the most important ones for me, you already put them in the summary. The change of mindset is super important. I mean, it could just flip the script entirely if the mindset is about just finding potential, ways that things could fail. So instead of just checking, so quite a lot of things we've learned here. I've also gotten that part of when you say that, well, no user will do this, you're just saying that, well, no user that I think of will do this kind of
Who I
thing.
like would do it on
That I
purpose.
like. Yeah, great. That's so relatable. Thank you so much. If you've got questions for Paul, please drop it in the comments. Let's drop your questions for him. We're going to come back to questions. But before then, we also have other speaker in the house. We're also going to hear from them, and then we'll come back to questions and answer all of those questions. Thank you very much once again, Paul. By the way, like Paul said, the slides will be made available to everybody right after this session. So we're moving on to the next, and the next person that will be speaking is going to be the second speaker, and that is Oluwatosin. Oluwatosin Awodire will be talking about the future of testing, still around the same theme, building culture beyond testing. Is Oluwatosin in the house here? Yeah, he is with us. So Henry, please read Oluwatosin's profile and let's have him take it off.
All right. Thank you very much, Paul. Thank you very much, Jafar. So Oluwatosin Awodire is a dynamic technology leader, startup mentor, and quality assurance engineer at Moniepoint, with a proven track record of building and leading high-performing QA teams. Formerly, he has helped deliver world-class digital products across industries like fintech, SaaS, and enterprise solution. Please, with welcome in the chat box, saying welcome in the chat box. Please, let's officially welcome our speaker for today as it speaks to us on the future of quality, building a culture beyond testing. Thank you very much, Oluwatosin, for joining us today.
Oluwatosin, you're up.
Hi, Tosin.
So as Tosin, you can bring up your slide. As Tosin comes up and brings its slide, one important takeaway from Paul's session is also around undocumented boundaries. I mean, the creeping and leaping. Also found so much value in that. So a lot of the times you already have these predefined boundaries according to what you have in your maybe a PRD or those things, and then we just want to stick to that. Really testing is about going beyond those things and trying to explore what could be. Very important takeaway for all of us. And then the primary goal of testing, directly from Paul's word, is not to prove it works. It's more about disproving and challenging it, just like scientific research. Thank you again for that. Is Tosin okay? Tosin's screen is up now. I'm gonna bring a screen. All right. Tosin, over to you now. Okay, I guess we'll move it into questions. So again, please feel free to drop your questions for Paul right there in the comments. We're gonna pick them one after the other and then put it up to him. So there is one part of, because today we're talking about quality across departments, and the list of the three amigos that you mentioned, Paul, sort of is very much relatable. So I want to just go into this further. For product teams, what do you realize is that because of the dynamics, people are under pressure to push and ship very fast. Some people are under the pressure to basically, if there's a bug, there's an important customer, enterprise customer, and they need this like today, ASAP. So and you're always very short on time. How do you manage this in the real dynamics? I mean, your experience of having worked with several teams.
That's a hard question. Actually, just what's the that was a long word. What was the actual question you wanted me to answer there?
So how do you manage in a case where you have tight deadlines and the quality is not started from where it should have started from? You recommended already that you should start from before commit. Now,
Oh, and if you
when
haven't done that,
yeah, they haven't done that. Now we need to ship. Everybody
it
is under pressure.
on my current contract, that's exactly what's happened. I was brought in on a contract to do something, and then they asked if I could help test this one feature, and so I pair tested with somebody who I know at the company who I've known for years, and we pair tested. And the thing that I would recommend, if you're testing something that wasn't well discussed or well understood at the beginning, and there was no equivalent of Three Amigos meeting and things like that, is just test quickly and find some big show-stopping bug right off the bat. We managed to do that. On the first day of testing, we found a show-stopping bug. We started testing on Tuesday, and they were hoping to ship on Friday, and that was 2 weeks ago, and they're still working on the bugs we found. We ended up finding 18 show-stopping bugs. So my advice is, if you're put on something to test and they want to ship fairly quickly, and you want to get yourself more time, is to spend time finding something that will give you more time. So my approach to testing is always, when they say, how long is it going to take you to test this? I say, how long do I have? Because I can test something in an hour, I can test something in a day, I can test something in 2 weeks, I can test something in 3 months. It depends on the criticality of it. If it's a telecom app, spending a few months testing it is not uncommon. If it's a game, spending a day or two testing it is probably also not uncommon, especially if it's not a brand new game and you're just doing a patch. So, but if you want to buy more time, you find something that they can't ship with. So a critical bug, something that corrupts data or puts the state into something totally unacceptable. And then they're going to have to spend time fixing that. While they're fixing it, I now have gone from what I thought was 3 days of testing. I now have probably a week and 3 days, because it's going to take them a week to fix the bugs that I found. So it's not a great solution, but it's also an interesting way to be able to gently point out to them, if this was better understood at the beginning, the developer wouldn't have left this truck-sized hole in their software, and that we would have been able to, they would have written the code defensively against the test I'm doing. So one of the best tests that I did was there was an intermediate controller. So one admin type system in the cloud talking through a controller to a different system. And if the links went down between the controller on either side, the controller would buffer the messages going back and forth. And then when the link came back up, it would send them. So what I did was I got messages from each direction on this controller, and then I power cycled the controller. So in other words, the messages that it was keeping in memory are gone. And guess what? They all disappeared. So all the configuration from the admin tool that was going down, if the local link to the other box was down and the controller reset, all of that configuration, which now the cloud thought was done, is gone. It's just not anywhere. And so that's that was a big enough problem that now the box that's supposed to be controlled and be in a certain state never got into that state, and the admin software has no indication that it didn't happen. So finding a defect like that involved a database change on the controller, because they needed to add a field into the database saying this is a buffered message, it hasn't been sent yet. And so then if there was a power cycle, they could check the database, oh, there's unsent messages, and then it would resend them. So it was a big change. So anyway, I don't know if that's answered your question specifically, but it was a long rambling answer anyway.
I mean, it does because why I asked that question specifically is because a lot of people are, I mean, they've listened to you, they know what is right, they know they should start early on, they know they should have the failure mindset of finding failures. But then the problem is, the reality is, you have to see if somebody is putting a lot of pressure on you. You also, I mean, maybe a lot of testers don't also want to take the responsibility of, oh, you asked us to push this, and then there is trouble, so you're responsible for that, which is frankly the case in majority of situations. So, I mean, QA tested it, so why did we have this bug? So people want to be careful. You don't want to say it's 3 days. You don't want to say it's 1 week. And I think your solution is, a good way to go about it. Find some heavy, show-stopping guys, and then they have to battle with that, and then you have more time. Great.
And
one.
if it hasn't, the one thing I can guarantee everybody, if it hasn't been tested thoroughly, looking for ways it can fail, there are big ways that it's going to fail. So it shouldn't be too hard to find them. The more experience you have in failure methods, like nobody thought of, whoa, what if the controller loses power while it's buffering stuff? And it was one of the first things I thought of, because it was just there. I just read John Harry's thing. He's a solo tester, and I'm going to just jump right ahead because I like this question. I'm a solo tester at a small company. I'm mostly seen as a problem, especially by the developers. How can I get a bit of genuine love from them? The easiest way is to compliment them. So if I'm the developer and I've given Jafar some stuff to test, and the first thing he does is say, it's broken, it sucks, I'll get all these problems, I found 5 problems with your code, Paul, I'm gonna not like you because you didn't do any, you need to say positive things about the software. The first thing to do is to coddle the software across the finish line. Do a happy path test, because that's what the developer's done. If it impresses you, tell them, say, wow, I just tried your code and it worked the first time. That's pretty good. I was impressed by that. I'm going to start testing it and trying more corner cases and harder things. But first time it went through and it worked just as I was expecting. That's great. Good job. And now they're going to be saying, oh, this is pretty good. You can also ask them, you can say, my job is to make you look good. I'm telling you what the failures are. But once we release it to our customers, if there's no bugs in it, you're going to look like a genius. So I'm here to help you make your code look better. I don't break anything. The only thing, and don't say this, but the only thing testers break is the dreams of developers that they've written bug-free code. That's the only thing testers break. Everything else is already broken by the developer. All we do is point out the things that they didn't code well enough that can cause failures. So compliment them, work with them, suggest that you test with them earlier in the code, have discussions with them saying, hey, if you want, I can tell you what I would test before you finish writing your code. And that way you can write your code more defensively. Have a meeting. Even if your company doesn't support having a full Three Amigos meeting, you can have a meeting with each developer and just say, hey, before you start writing this code, let's talk about the feature and how I might test the feature. And then you can write your code more defensively.
Perfect. I couldn't have said this better. There's this, this principle that Toastmasters talk about, the CRC, commend, recommend, and commend again. It helps with almost everybody, whether they're developers, whether they are your bosses, just do a little bit of commendation first before you then start hitting them with, that one is not good, that side is not very great, this one and that one. Great one, Paul. We could go on and on. I'm sure people are already enjoying this, but I'm going to pause a little bit on the questions for now. And let's take Suman is here. So we're going to take her and a session quickly, and we're going to come back to this. I'm sure people have lots of things to ask her right here, and they would get the answers. Thank you once again, Paul. Hello, Suman.
Hello, you okay?
Great. Thank you for joining us. Welcome, welcome, welcome. So Suman is also going to be speaking to us right now in a few minutes. You can bring up your slides, Suman.
I'm still backstage, right?
Yeah, you're currently live. I just brought you on stage.
Okay. Hi everyone. Thank you for having me. I love coming to these events. Maybe let's hold off for my intro for now, because that's what my slides are about.
Okay, no
Initially, I created my slides to focus on the theme, things I've done to improve quality, but then I've been told it would be good if I can share my journey, so I've rewritten my slides and not the initial ones, but let's see how it goes. And if people have questions about quality and all, I'm more than happy to do that again. So
great.
let me share screen. Let me know when you can see my screen.
Okay, it's coming up.
Yeah, coming up? Okay, perfect.
Yes.
All right. So what I want to talk today is the road to quality and how I built my career in tech. But before we start that, a little bit about me, because if I'm sharing my career journey, I think it helps to kind of start from who I am and how the journey I've taken. So I'm Suman Bala. Currently, I'm working as a quality engineering manager as Leighton. Leighton is a consultancy, and we work with different clients. My current client is AWS mobile app. I've been in tech for nearly 20 years. And when I think, I feel like, half of my life I've been into testing. And to be honest, it's something I'm really proud of. I can't think of doing anything else. I've been European testing manager. I've received testing manager award at European Testing Awards in 2022, 2020. I have also contributed to two different books. One of that is How Can I Test This, where we look into examples to test different sites and application. It talks about heuristics. And this book gives you ideas you can use to actually just improve your testing. I'm accessibility champion. I've been passionate about accessibility for nearly 10 years now, and everywhere I go, whatever workplace I worked with, accessibility is always front focus of my passion. I have received, I've been into Women in Tech awards multiple times in the finalist, whether it's a role model or a tech leader or a mentor of the year. Ministry of Testing always have a special place in my heart because that's where when I moved to UK, that's what I found, and that's how I connected to tech. And all of a sudden, my mind, boom, there's so much. I've been, living in like a just small bubble. Uh, my first career was within Samsung. When I moved to UK, I've, worked with Sky, EasyJet. During pandemic, when lots of people were losing their job from non-tech, someone who was working in retail, for example, or a grocery store, I partnered with a company called Coders Guild. It's based in north of England, and we four of us created a course on software testing bootcamp. We didn't touch on things like ISTQB standards one. We actually created the course based on anyone who will do that course, and it was free for people to attend. They will come as a good tester. We touched on what is testing, what is quality, and think like a tester. Oh, I've found a bug. What can I do next? Testing strategy, testing specialism. We didn't talk about, just automation is the only route to go forward. We taught people about good exposure testing techniques. We talked about security testing, exposure testing, automations, and much more. There's so many skills, monitoring, observability, which yeah, the standard courses doesn't talk about. So that's and this year I've been nominated for Northern Power Awards due to my passion in tech. So now you'll see, oh yes, so many you have worked with like so many companies, you have done so much work, but it's not been easy. It's not been like how I started. um I made my way through. Nothing was served to me on a plate. I've First thing I did was challenging stereotypes. And then I'm committed to learning. I still am. I have a son who's 8 year old, and sometimes when I'll ask him to do do math tables, do some English learning, do your phonics, and he's like, "Oh, I know that. I don't need to do. I already know this stuff." And I was like, learning never stops. So if you have that learning and growth mindset, no one can stop you. Then embracing challenges, because at every stage, no matter how much experienced you are, you just get a different set of challenge, right? And these challenges make us what we are today. These challenges are challenges which you might be facing in your current role, which you might find, or you might be enjoying, or you might be finding, gosh, this is so frustrating, I can't move forward. And every day you feel like I'm going to take just one day. But these challenges shape you, and you will be thankful for these challenges few years down the line. So first thing I did was breaking the myth. Testers are not technical. I come from computer science and engineering background. When I started my job at Samsung, as a fresher, we were asked to do 1 week with different teams. So I did my 1 week with maybe like a backend team. I did 1 week with GTV app development team. I did 1 week with testing team, and so on. At the end of that 1 week rotation, we, the delivery managers were discussing which team you relate to most and where would you like to go. I said, I would like to go into the testing team. And I was told, you come from a technical background. You have computer science and engineering degree. You know how to write a code. Don't go into testing because testers are not technical. It's for someone who doesn't know the code. So you should go into development, not testing. And that hit me hard. Why? Because when I did my 1 week with a testing team, they didn't come across to me as non technical. Then they know what they were doing. Really nice bunch of people welcomed me. Then why should I abandon a career just because there's a myth? Testers are not technical. And I told to my delivery, you know what? I think I will go with testing. We'll see how it goes. And then if I don't like it, we can always change. because I was so adamant, and even for a fresher, thinking they might say, "Oh, you're fired," but they told me, "Yeah, okay, if this is something you want to do, go and do." So my first project I did, and I was doing some, like DTV, some TV apps testing, and found so many bugs. Then I asked, yeah, I know code. I can, break that. Testers can be technical. I can write some, like tests. So I was asked to do automate APIs. And unlike today, that time, we didn't have that Swagger sort of documentation. I was testing APIs where you press, let's say you press a menu button on TV, the menu appears, or you press volume button, then volume bar increases. I actually tested those APIs for Samsung, and there was no way to test that. So, and I was like, gosh, how do I test? They don't teach this in engineering, right? I In one of my semester, there was a one subject on software engineering, and in software engineering book, only one chapter on testing. So I had no idea how to test APIs. And then I was thinking, did I make a right choice or not? But I started working with a developer that time. I went to their technical lead, and I said, I want to test these APIs, but I don't know how to test. Can you help me? So we did pair programming, and then that was just the start. All of suddenly there was a moment within, like, testing team, that most people started to wanted to do some, like, technical discussions. They wanted to contribute to some like tests. So I broke that myth, and I'm really proud of that, because if I didn't choose testing that time, I don't know what else I will be doing, because this is something I absolutely love, right? And then this is what so because I started in 2006, I was still learning about, like, foundation of testing. I was still finding about different, like, test plans, strategies, how different edge case, boundary cases you need to, and there was so much. Because I was so committed to learning, even on weekends, late nights, I would go to office, and that time we didn't get, like, laptops. You can just work from home. I was just, in the office all the time. In 2009, I was promoted into a test lead. And that time, I was the youngest test lead throughout Samsung. I was leading people who had more experience than me. There were, I remember there were two people who were reporting to me. One had a 10-year of experience, one had 8 years of experience, and I had only 3 years of experience in testing, right? So I've received things like, you don't know stuff. We've been in tech longer than you. What do you know? But I didn't put them down as in, like, oh no, I'm your lead. You just need to listen to me. I always listened to what they had to say, because yes, their experience matter, but at the same time, my innovation mattered too. My how I tackle problems mattered as well. So I worked with a team, and that shaped me as not just as a better tester, but that also shaped me how I tackle some leadership challenges throughout that. In 2014, I got married and moved to UK. And when I moved to UK, I was like, oh, I was looking at some of the job specs. I was like, I know automation, I know coding, I know C++, I know Java, and I can easily crack the job. I was so confident. But what happened? Moving to the UK came with its own challenges and struggles. Initial disappointment, even though I was applying for the roles, I did not get even a single interview. It got to a point where applying for jobs was my job, 9 to 5, 9 o'clock after breakfast. I'll start, like looking for the jobs, apply. And then and I reached out, and I was like, I'll do any role, because I was so desperate to work. I just couldn't sit at home. And then some of the recruiters told me, the reason you can't get an interview is because you don't have a UK testing experience. And I was like, what? I'm sure the way that you write code in India is the same way you write code, right? The way you test application is still same. I might know the same I might not use the same terminologies, but I'm good at testing. Give me a chance. And it just, went on and on and on. And one day I just let my down. My husband came home and I cooked so much. And he was like, "Oh, are we having a party? Are we having some friends over?" I was like, "No, I don't know what to do. I know I'm good at my job, but I'm not getting any interview." So what I started doing was I tailored something. I came across lots of networking events within Leeds. There were meetups, Leeds tester gathering, Ministry of Test. Not Ministry of Testing was not there. I think it was called Leeds testing. I started going to the networks. I started building connections, and I started to look for what are the things others are doing which I can incorporate. and and it was just I demonstrated that resilience by applying. Just because I applied for 100 jobs and it get a single interview didn't stop me. What I did was at that point I said, okay, rather than just going for the lead or senior roles, I might tone down, or maybe I will get any job within testing I can, because I'm confident on my skills and I can make my way through. Then after facing some initial challenges, networking and learning definitely did help. I started as a tester again. I still remember my very first job in the UK was doing manual testing. And I say manual because we were not allowed to do any exploiting. We were told these are the script. You just need to execute these scripts on this particular website. Don't do anything else. Just do. And the number of scripts which were given to us, by 11 o'clock, I would finish that. And I was like, what do I do now? After 3 months, when that contract ended, I told my husband, I love testing, but I'm not enjoying this job because I'm feeling restricted. I'm feeling like, that control. I can't explore my skills. I've been told just look and then do. That's it. I can't do that. So but because now I had that, like UK testing stamp on my CV, what I also did was I did lots of freelancing projects, such as you test or Postbrain. I did lots of different applications testing just to prove that I can do variety of testing. And then there was no stopping because I quickly made my way through. But before I would like to, come on, then there's no stopping is, yes, I started as a tester when I moved and then within 6 months, I was promoted to a lead because my manager, my team that time, they could see the skills. I was leading just one team. After a few months' time, I was leading the entire department within Sky Leads. Then moved to EasyJet, started as their first ever testing architect, and soon I was giving the entire quality engineering transformation group to lead, from architects, automation to environments, and I was leading almost 200 projects at a time, and really big transformation program, which was we saved 100,000 with the testing efforts or so. But throughout my career, the reason there was no stopping was because I didn't take no for just no. If there was a no, I would say why no? What else can we do? If there were budgets, because I looked into what else can be done. Also, if someone questioned the testing, I always looked into what are the different techniques we can use. So once you're into it, once you have that growth mindset, once you are resistant and persistent, no one can stop you. Yes, there might be some challenges and pushback today, but doesn't mean these pushbacks will be always there. Another thing which I noticed was because I was doing so many things within my team, and then they were like, "Oh, you're coaching us, you're teaching us how to write code from zero to." We are in a process where I know one of my line reports came to me saying, what, the journey you've taught me how to from manual to automation test. Now I love writing code and I want to be a developer. And he got it. But what I did was I overcame hesitation of public speaking. I used to think I was strong in Indian accent. People don't want to listen that. But representation matters because there would be lots of people who are non-British, right? Within UK, and they have so much to add on to. So I started, going to public speaking, and this is also one of that. So if any of you have never spoken at a conference or a talk or even your internal webinar, this is a clear go do a lightning talk. Doesn't have to be fancy. It can be as small as just, showing up and talking about yourself for a minute. It could be
Hello,
just, a
Suman.
5-minute talk on something
I was going to
you have
say,
done, a
yeah,
bug you found, right? So it can be anything, because uh, this definitely
hello,
matters. And
Suman.
the more you share, the more you learn. Because whenever I'm doing a talk, I research on that topic a lot. I share my personal experiences. I share the success and failures we have done, but I also look into other people's examples. I want to tap into them, what challenges they had, how they overcome those challenges. So, because the
Hi,
representation
Suman.
matters, it
If you
can
can hear me,
diversify innovation and growth,
okay, it
especially when
seems
you're
Suman
testing
can.
something around, personas. Different experience can bring different, testing ideas to the table, and role models can empower future generations. Because I talk about testing so much at home. My husband is like, oh, I know more about testing. Even though he's not from the testing background, he's from data architect. Other day, my son came to me. Um, TV seems glitchy and there was an error, so I think there's a bug with a new update. And I was like, gosh, he's talking in actual testing, technical language, and he's reporting that to me. Um, and so,
Hello,
and also,
Suman.
those
Please
visibility
confirm you
encourage
can
more
hear me.
participation, because when you're speaking, not just, at external events, but at internal events, when you're speaking in maybe, your internal
Okay.
guilds or sprint planning or all hands, then people can see that value of, like, quality. So you're not, just pushing yourself forward, but you're also bringing your team together. And you, by breaking stereotypes, can open doors, because you might, go and talk about, you did some exposure testing, or you did automation that way. People can change. And what I want to share mainly is, when just go and share your ideas, because and don't say no. Don't take no for a no. Thank you.
Thank you, Suman. Thank you. I hope you can hear me now. Thank you. Great storyline. We're way past the time, so we're gonna move straight up into the news session. Thank you for sharing your story. It was interesting hearing about your career journey. Thank you once again. So, because of time, I'm going to bring Tosin right up to wrap up, and then we go fully into the question and answer session. Take the rest of the questions we have from the participants, and then we can go ahead to wrap up the session. Thank you once again, Suman, for coming here. Hello,
Yeah.
Tosin. Great. Please go ahead, Tosin. You're up next. Just before Tosin brings up his screen, Oluwatosin Awodire is a quality assurance engineer at Moniepoint, and he has led different teams at Simfix, at Creative Airs, delivered world-class digital products in fintech and SaaS and enterprise solutions. The co-founder of the QA School, and is passionate about equipping young people to lead and build in the digital age. Tosin, you're up. Thank you. Hello, Tosin, you are muted. Please unmute. Hello, Tosin, you are muted. You need to unmute for us to hear you.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Great.
Great.
We can.
Oh,
We can go. Go ahead.
All right. So so I said we're looking at the culture beyond testing, and there are a couple of things I will just focus on. You can look at the slides later because we don't have enough time. All right. So when you're saying the culture of quality, right? The keywords that I feel like are very important, which is the culture itself, right? And when I was just doing like a small a review of the topic and what direction to go, so when you're talking about building a culture, there are two things that must be, that must be focused on, right? So the first thing is the mindset, and the second thing is leadership, right? Leadership, very important. And why so, right? Because when you're talking about culture, it should affect the way people think. It should affect the way people relate. And this is why you have, a lot of culture fit, conversations around people joining a company and all of that, right? Why are we having that conversation? Because the mindset is very important when you're talking about culture. And I have something in my slide here that says, the way we think about testing has to evolve. And it's amazing. You would think that in 2025, where AI is almost, changing the narration and conversation of everything, right? There are still traditional mindsets when it comes to testing. So you have people think of testing as the last result, right? You have people think of testing as the very, very last thing. And I think that's really terrible, in this age and in this time where there's so much technology advancement, right? Testing has to be from the beginning. It has to be part of the conversation, and that's one important thing I want to say. So in testing, generally we call it early testing, right? But testing has to be part of the conversation from the beginning. So you find that because of the way people have thought about testing, it has really affected the quality of products that have been shipped over the years and even now, right? So when customers start having issues, the first question is, who tested this product? Meanwhile, it is the job of the tester to find issues, right? Collaborate with the team to make sure they are resolved, right? It is not the job of the tester to actually fix the issue, because that's the technical job, and that's for the developers to work on, right? But the fact that that question always comes up once there's an issue. The first question is, who tested this product? That begs the statement that culture, testing should be part of the conversation from the beginning. I don't think you should be having a requirement meeting. I don't think, maybe the stakeholders of the CEO or the owner of the product, right, should be having any kind of conversation about the product, especially when it comes to requirements, and testing should not be, quality should not be part of the conversation. All right. And that's one major emphasis I want to build on. All right. The second thing is quality is a responsibility of everyone. It cannot be solely QA, especially not with how testing has evolved now, right? Testing cannot be solely the responsibility of QA. It has to be everyone's responsibility, from the product manager to the systems architect. I think when a systems architect is trying to come up with a design, you should be having regular conversations with whoever it is that is in charge of quality. You should be having conversations with everyone, right? Okay, this is what we're trying to build, right? Because that vision is very important, right? So if the developers should also know that it does not stop at just pushing codes out, right? It's also, you should check in with testers when they're testing to make sure, okay, are you able to test this? Do you have issues testing this? So you still have issues like, a tester is trying to test a particular issue, and and maybe he really doesn't have a jump start on how to go about it, and then he has to find a way to collaborate with the developer that is so hard to reach, in order to test a particular feature, because the feature looks very technical. You have to go into the database, you have to do this just to make sure testing is properly done, right? So I feel like the moment the whole team sees testing as everyone's responsibility, then that culture, that mindset of ensuring that the everyone is on point in terms of quality, becomes very easy, right? So everyone should be asking the question, how can I ensure quality from my discipline, from where I stand, right? From my standpoint, from what I'm able to contribute as a developer, as a product designer, as a product manager. That question should be burning at everyone's heart, right? So when people start thinking that way, you will have a product that not only works, right, functionally, but you have a product that satisfies users' experience, right? So building a culture of quality, starts with strong leadership, right? Now, and that's the other thing I mentioned when it comes to culture, right? So the first thing is mindset. How are people thinking of quality? It has to be from the beginning. The second thing is leadership, right? So we've seen that over the years, right? It's impossible to make a culture stay if there is no strong leadership to it. And one of the things when we're talking about strong leadership is there is the discipline of it, right? Before it becomes a natural instinct, right? So what does that mean when we're talking about building a culture of quality and we're talking about leadership? So it means everyone will start thinking about it from a point of, okay, I'm going to be a model in terms of ensuring quality. I'm not going to leave it to the product manager. So for instance, you were testing and you noticed a particular gap, right, in requirement. And then you'd be like, okay, this is not my responsibility. I'm just, sorry, excuse me. And then you'd be like, this is not my responsibility. I'm just going to focus on testing. Let me just do my bit and go. No, that's exactly the problem, right? So leadership ensures in that point, you having a mindset of leadership, right? Make sure that, okay, there's a problem with this requirement, right? And this is definitely going to cause user frustration. So what are you supposed to do? You should be talking to the lead of the team. Okay, I noticed this while I was testing. I feel this is going to really, really be bad for users when they're trying to sign up or log in or do something, right? And I feel this is something we need to talk about. Okay, can we have a stakeholders meeting where we discuss this gap? Sorry, excuse me. And this requirement, right? So very, very important. That sense of ownership, it's also part of leadership, right? The sense of ownership of everyone, ensuring quality is done. And it's very sad, right? It's very sad that I've been privileged to work with teams in the UK, in India, Pakistan, and even in Nigeria. And, we still have this concept of, don't worry about the tester. Let's just do what we need to do. And you have a lot of conversations in silos. The PM already had a very long conversation with the developer on what needs to be done, and then they come on the call, and all you need to do is just to test, right? So I think that sense of ownership from everyone in terms of how they see quality should be different going forward. I think the last thing I want to mention is collaboration. All right, collaboration and communication, and this is a real differentiator when you're talking about building a culture of quality, right? It's impossible to have anything done if proper collaboration is not there. And when Paul was answering somebody's question, about how a developer can be, how you developers can see you differently as a tester and all of that, and not see you as a problem, right? Apart from complimenting, right, which always works. I do that a lot, complimenting them. Oh, guy, I really love what you did. This is really badass. I think this is solid, right? Another thing is you want to also make sure that the tone of communication is very important, right? You're not talking like, you're not talking like you own the place and you're just driving everybody to work, as a tester. You don't talk like that, right? You want to make sure that you speak with courtesy when you're communicating, and you're very clear, right? Very important. So you don't need to spend so much time arguing. It's working on my laptop. It's not working. We still have those issues and all of that. And as a tester, if you want to ensure quality is a mindset with your team, you want to ensure that there's a culture of quality from everyone till till the very, very end, right? You have to ensure that your communication and your collaboration with developers are top notch, right? When you identify issues, the next thing is you want to really, really communicate. You want to communicate with them and say, okay, you know, I have this issue. Can you quickly look into it? So I think I'm going to stop here, right? In terms of I just want to say finally that building a culture of quality requires time
Thank
and
yeah.
intentional effort. Start small by improving communication, introducing transparency, and fostering collaboration in testing. Thank you very much, Scandium, for having me.
Great, super. Thank you so much, Oluwatosin, for that. I love your punchline. I think I want you to even go back to that line. Yeah, with saying thank yous. That slide before. I love that as a good takeaway, right? Quality is not just a department; it's something that has to be owned by everybody. Everybody has to. Build that mindset if they don't already have it. Paul also mentioned rightly that it really is about having that mindset change, about finding pathways to failure, not just about checking to confirm that things are right as expected. Thank you very much for that, Oluwatosin, and thank you to Paul. Thank you to Suman as well. It's a pleasure having all of you. So we're going to pick some of the questions we have before we go there. If you're not with us on social media yet, we're on LinkedIn, on YouTube, and everywhere else. I say everywhere else because those are my favorites, right? This session is live on YouTube, by the way. It's also live on LinkedIn. We have some people who are watching from there. And guys, to much love. Thank you for joining in. So please head to LinkedIn or YouTube. You can see the links charts to join us if you're not with us yet. If you're wondering, this session is brought to you by Scandium. Scandium is a suite of quality assurance solutions that helps you with AI-powered no-code testing across the web, mobile, and API products. And then we've got a full-size desktop management solution called TestPod that basically makes it easy for you to manage testing across all kinds of tests: exploratory testing, your manual testing, automation testing, because in reality, you need to go across all of these things for you to be sure that, yes, you're really quality-minded for your product and you can ensure you ship bug-free digital products. So let's get into answering some of the questions. You can visit us at getscandium.com. Again, you have link in the chat, so we'll not go into that. So please click that to see more about Scandium and also about TestPod. Now, we've seen some questions, quite a lot of them. Paul already answered some of those. I'm going to bring Paul back on stage, and also going to bring Suman as well. So, great. Going back to some of the questions, Adishola was asking that which process frameworks have you seen help maintain quality while accelerating delivery?
Oh yeah, you saw that
Paul.
one by Adishola. Yeah, so they mentioned CI/CD, shift left, testing automation. All of those I have found have helped increase the speed of delivery. The key there is with CI/CD, you need a good unit test framework. With you can supplement that with test automation at a higher level, API and UI level automation, and having shift left so that you're talking about the details, having the equivalent of the Three Amigos meeting, or just even without a specific meeting, just having a better understanding before code written. All of those things help improve quality The trick is you still need to find the bugs before you go out. And once you've done a good job of exploratory testing, the checks that you've written, the automation should be good enough to see if something else breaks. So when you're exploratory testing, you're looking for weird corner cases, you're looking for things that your customers might do by mistake that could cause some catastrophic failures. But once those are fixed, they tend not to come back as much. So having a good set of automation to keep checking that the basic functionality is working should be good enough to increase the speed of your delivery. I cannot hear you.
So thank you for that. So somebody was asking a question. I think you already answered that when you recommended the best way to go when you're given very little time. Release is imminent, and you have quite a lot to test. I'm just again referencing that question just so that other people can also benefit from that. Paul advises that you basically try to find the big show-stopping bugs, and then by the time they start fixing this, you probably have enough time to do more testing and find more things. So I think it's good. Tosin, do you want to say anything about this just before we move on from here?
No. Oh, someone else, sorry.
Okay. Yeah, go ahead. If you had something to add, Paul, you can do that.
Well, I was just looking at the question on the screen. So as a tester, I don't challenge developers' code implementation. That's not my role. I might have some suggestions or some questions, but I'm not going to, in 30 years, I don't think I've ever challenged the implementation that a developer's done. But what I would recommend is asking questions that make them realize the implementation may have been flawed. And you don't even have to ask questions. Sometimes just raising a defect is enough. You can just, like the one that I found where if the controller is reset, everything in it is released, the developer immediately just went, oh, I didn't think of that. We're going to have to change the database to, like, he immediately saw the flaw and immediately had a solution. So I didn't necessarily question the implementation, but when you're finding bugs, you're finding flaws in the implementation. Before they've written the code and what they're thinking about, that's where you want to ask the questions. That's where you want to say, what would happen if the controller lost power while it had things in memory in volatile RAM instead of in non-volatile, and that would get them thinking about it before implementation. So the final phase before deployment is always a good time. It's always better to know that a bug is in the software. The product team or management might decide to release anyway, but it's better for them to know that the defect is there when they release than finding out about it when a customer complains about it. I've been on projects where the product was released and I was thinking that is a horrible idea, but there's often reasons for it that a tester isn't aware of, things like monetary penalties in telecom. If we hadn't delivered a software to our customer on the certain date, there was a large six-figure penalty in US dollars, which would have been huge for us. So we released the software even though there was a known bug in it, and then we fixed it and quickly sent a patch following it, and they hadn't found the defect, so we were fine. But yeah, anyway, it's never too late. It's always better to know that that you're doing a great job, Jafar. Oh wait, sorry, that was the compliment one there.
Yeah.
But that is a genuine compliment. You are doing a good job. So
thank you. Thank you, Paul. So let me go into one more question before we end this. Again, I like to keep this very practical because, I mean, a lot of people go through, courses and all of that. All the principles, all the theories are there. So, I mean, when I'm with experienced people like you, I like to go into real messy situations that we find ourselves in when building products, right? So you inherit this product is riddled with bugs. there is bugs everywhere. I mean, you almost cannot trust, the product to be in the hands of your customer without you supporting actively. And you're responsible for this product now. The new features being rolled out, the existing ones need to, maybe be maintained, and then you're reporting bugs. It's not being fixed. New ones coming up. It's just a messy situation. How, from an organization standpoint, do you think this can be solved, step by step? How will everyone be involved? The tester, other team members, how can they get out of this?
Yeah, so what I've done in the past in a situation like that, we again, I've been at so many many different industries and roles. In one of them, we had a product where the development VP, the VP of engineering in charge of rolling it out, he came to me on Monday and he said, "I don't care what bugs you find this week. We're releasing on Friday," because we were already like a month late. And I said, okay, but what if we find something critical like a database corruption? And he said, I don't care. We're way too late. We're shipping on Friday. And then the next day, his developers dumped 10,000 lines of code into the system, which is a little too much to test on a medical software product to test in 3 days. So I generated a test report, and the test report, I made a mind map of the product where I had the biggest ideas. I call it a release coverage outline, and it's a mind map of the main areas of the feature, because we weren't testing the whole product. We were just testing this feature, and I color coded it what we could test, not at all. So that was red. Well, we could test like a quick sanity check, 1 or 2 quick checks against that element. That was a dark orange. And then we went to a lighter orange if we'd done a little bit more. Then we went to a yellow for common cases, and then a light green and a dark green. I never expect to reach dark green. I like leaving that one there as to have people say, how come nothing's dark green? And you can say, because I can never test to that level. But the vast majority of this mind map was red. And then I said, if we had an extra, so we essentially had 2 days to test. And I said, if we had an extra 2 days, it would look like this. And if we had an extra 5 days, it would look like this. So in other words, if we had 7 days of testing. And I put all of that into a test report along with the list of the known bugs that we had and all of this. It was a PowerPoint slide presentation that I think was only about 7 pages long, had an executive summary at the beginning that essentially warned that we hadn't tested it thoroughly. And I sent it out to everybody, including the chief product officer, who was ultimately responsible for this product. And she delayed the release by a week because she wasn't ready to sign off, despite what the VP had said, of looking at something that hadn't been tested that was being released. So that's how I approach it. If the company is pushing things out, it usually means that the people responsible, ultimately responsible, the board, the C-levels, they are unaware. They're being told what they want to be told by the people directly reporting to them. At another company I was at, the COO knew there was severe defects in the product, and he was hiding it from the CEOs. He got fired over it because we knew for like 2 months that the product was not going to make it. And he kept thinking we would and kept delaying telling the CEOs. So they were off talking to the customers saying, hey, in 2 months, we're going to have this great feature. And then with like a week to go, or maybe a week and a half, he told the CEOs, yeah, we're not close. It's going to be at least another month or 2. And they, well, how long have you known? And well, I've known for 2 months. And so he was literally fired on the spot because, as they said, bad news doesn't get better with age. So you need to keep the information flowing. And the easiest way I found to do that is to have a test report. Doesn't have metrics in it. Metrics are almost all metrics in a test report are useless. The number of tests you've run, the number of bugs you found, the pass rate, none of that means anything. It literally could be telling a totally different story. I actually have done a presentation at other conferences where I put up two projects, and one of them looks good with the metrics and the other one looks really bad with the metrics. And when you tell the story, the one that looks bad by metrics is actually in really good shape, and the one that looks good is going to be delayed. So I don't put metrics in my test reports.
Super great. I've had a lot of punchlines in your talks, Paul. Bad news doesn't get better with age. Somebody even put that in chat. Interested. Great one, great one. I love that approach. I think it really is about getting communications through. Let the people who own this product truly, not the person in charge of you, let them know what it is at stake. Again, it's up to them to then decide, well, we want to go forward or not. At least nobody comes back to say that, oh, we got to the customer, then we're seeing this issue. And there is that report that shows, well, I mean, that part was not explored. So very clear. I love that approach. Thank you so much for that. I think Suman is also answering a question already in chat.
Yeah.
Somebody asked a question.
Yeah, I fully agree with what Suman said there. Excellent answer, Suman. I would say that learning a tool is. Oh, go ahead. Hi, Suman.
Hello. Yeah, because like the reason I said focus on foundation, I've seen so many people when they want to start learning, they were like, "Oh, I want to learn automation." Someone would say, "Learn Selenium, learn Playwright." But there was a time, there was a new tool every other week in the market: Playwright, Cypress, WebDriver IO. So don't focus on just tools. If you build your foundation strong, tool is just a matter of you can pick any tool because same foundation, same principles do apply. So you can pick any tool you want, but focus on foundation. And when it comes to automation, don't think about just UI automation. Think about how can you do that end to end. What test should we automate? For example, terms and condition page. Probably not every user is going there to scrolling all the time, and scrolling automation will take more. So do that. And we look into customer risk, look into the value of the test. Even if you have one test, automate, and that's okay. But that test should give you confidence. If your tests are not giving confidence, they're just crap.
I'll agree with that. And learning how to test well is always going to help. If it depends on the market you're in, I have found zero helpfulness out of certification classes for testers. All they do is give you a piece of paper that companies who don't understand testing look for. But if you're applying to a company that understands testing, a testing certification, all that means is you've answered a 40-question multiple choice test. It doesn't mean that you're a better tester. Focus on learning about how to test better. Learn how to do better exploratory testing. Follow people like Michael Bolton and James Bach. Go to their websites, which is developsense.com or satisfice.com, and read their blog posts. They have been dedicated for the last 20 years, 25 years on teaching how to test better. And there's a limitless amount of information there. And the whole concept of what they teach is there's no one way to test. You need to instill a state of curiosity. You need to be able to explore. You need to be able to be confident in what you're doing. And the way that you test a particular item is going to change depending on the context. It's called context-driven testing. The Association for Software Testing is a US-based international company that focuses on context-driven testing.
I completely agree with you, Paul, there. And even I have that on my LinkedIn. These certification can give you a framework, what different techniques are, but they can't teach you how to test. Example, boundary value. They can teach you, oh, you need to do boundary value testing, but how to do that, then you can use like heuristics and mnemonics like Goldilocks. Too small, too big, just right, and look into like lots of mnemonics, and that can drive your way of how you think and how you test.
Goldilocks would be a heuristic, and
Yeah.
there you go.
Great, great. I'm so much loving this session. I'm always tempted to forget that the time is ticking. Great contributions, Paul and
Do we have
Suran.
any other questions?
Yeah. Do we have any ones here? I think we've got
The
comments.
only one other question that I noticed was from Sunamalia, which was looking for a career change from banking. But I agreed with what Georgina said, which is there's no specific one thing. Look at training, learn how to be a tester, learn how to test well. You can do a lot of it just through self learning and looking for people who do understand testing and following their teachings. If you have somebody locally who is a software tester who may be willing to mentor you, that would be another approach. But there's no real silver bullet for networking. Training and mentorship are really the only thing.
Another thing I can recommend is, do networking, go to your local meetups, and then, attend all those meetups. Also look for companies in your area which can provide that route to get into tech. I know within UK, Sky has those programs, early careers or get into tech, where you can get into that program and they will provide you that training before they assign you. So there are lots of other companies who are doing similar work. So look for those companies, search for specifically and target, and then reach out to them.
Yep, and local meetups. The Ministry of Testing does a lot of local meetups in lots of different places. And if not the Ministry of Testing, other people have them. Most larger cities around the world have some sort of testing community, and maybe if your community doesn't have one, you could start one.
Great. Yes, you could start one. If you don't have one in your community, you can start. And if there is one, please join them. The most important thing here is networking, learning from other people. You always get to see what the current trend is, and then you can grow from there. And then for people who so much love tools, well, once you've solidified your basics, tools always come, and you can always catch up on what is the next thing when you're with these communities. So great job. Thank you for those amazing answers, Paul and Suman. By the way, I mentioned earlier that this is powered by Scandium. Scandium is a suite of assurance tools from no code.
You froze for a second. So go back to Scandium,
apologies.
because that's when you froze.
Okay, yeah, thank you. So I was saying Scandium is a suite of quality assurance solutions from no-code test automation for your web, mobile, and API testing. To basically, just because again, automation is just one of those things, so it should not really take all of your time. So no-code automation testing, you just basically do the things you will do manually, and then you have Scandium there capturing everything and turning that into an automated script that you can run for you multiple times if you want it every day, every week, whatever suits your purpose. And then you have time to do other things. Or build TestSpot, especially with the mindset that it's not just about automation testing, just like Paul has mentioned. There are lots of other testing you should do. Sometimes you're just doing it manually, sometimes you're just exploring, right? To find, some things that ordinarily you wouldn't have found. So TestSpot helps you bring all of that together and manage it, create defects, create test cases. So this 2 minutes, very short video just shows you AI test case generation and test.
First off, click on test cases. Click on a folder. Click on create with AI. After that, click on the AI prompt field. Type in a description of the test cases you want AI to generate. Click on the send button. Then, click to expand a feature from the result. Click here. You can choose test cases to accept or reject. Next up, click on the element. Now click on Accept. Expand the parent folder to see the subfolders of test cases generated by the AI. Once that's done, click on a subfolder to see the test cases within it. After that, select a test case to view its details.
Great. I mean, that's just to keep it short and simple, Keys, right? Again, there's a lot of features on test pod, right? Right from proper test case management, integrating to your project management tool, your Linear, your Jira, your Trello, and all of those other tools, creating and managing defects and release cycles, all kinds of tests across all kinds of tests, whether that is exploratory or automation testing across all of your frameworks, or it is manual. So you're able to manage all of that. But of course, to get the full gist on that, you can go through the link. The link will be posted in charts, the testpod.io. You'll be able to see that if you're interested in test management. However, if you're interested in test automation for web, mobile, and APIs all in one place, then visit Scandium, getscandium.com. So test drive has come 2 full cycles. We started this 2023, and we brought in so many amazing speakers across board. We talked about so many things: streamlining test operations. We talked about accessibility this year. We talked about testing smarter and leveraging AI. And today we're talking about going beyond just what you do with the QA team. Changing the mindset and all the amazing points that Paul, Tosin, and Suman gave to us. So as we go into the next season, what next for Software Test Drive? We'd like to hear from you. We'd like to hear your opinions about what more do you want to hear about. Who do you want us to bring to you to talk about different topics? We're happy to take your recommendations about these things. Please just go to bit.ly/test drive next. Again, it is Software Test Drive, and this is the place where we talk about testing globally. This is a global platform. We have people joining from different places across the world. So feel free to share this. Again, we're going to share the slides from all of our speakers. We're also going to share, this is live on our YouTube channel. You can rewatch this if you missed any part of it. And we're going to specifically share this to every attendee of this session. So please go into this link, bit.ly/test drive next, and give us your recommendation of, we're happy to also take recommendations from you, Paul and Suman. What more do you want us to talk about? Who do you want us to bring? How could we make this even better? We are happy to listen to all of this, and we'll definitely take this feedback and work with that. I could see that there's still responses going in the comment section. Thank you for doing that, Paul and Suman. By the way, you can also connect with them on LinkedIn, Paul Holland, Suman Bala, and they'll be happy to answer questions, right? Great, thank you. So to wrap this, you want to say something?
I was just
Paul?
going to say, if I don't respond, ping me again. I often see a LinkedIn message while I'm on my phone and I can't respond, and then when I get back to my laptop, I've totally forgotten. So give me a day or two, and if I don't respond to your question, just ping me again and I will respond.
Great, thank you so much for volunteering to answer questions for the participants. Thank you. I'm sure Suman will also be happy to answer your questions. Thank you. So this is what we end our test drive sessions with. People always love to play these very little games. So you can just scan this QR code or go to that link there. So once you get to that link, you can also pick the link in the comment box. Anyone that works for you, scan QR, copy the link, anyone, just to join the games. I'll allow Ibrahim to bring up the screen. This is the very last thing we do here on the test drive for this edition. And then we'll see you again next time. I'll be happy to have you again. So please join us on this game. Always fun. and always easy. Don't worry, it's not a certification exam like Paul mentioned, where you just doing 40 MCQs and then you say you have a certification. So great. You can still join. It's never late to join. So
I'm joined. I'm doing it.
Great. Great, Paul. It'll be fun. Even though you probably already have answers to all of the questions, but then
I am old. The trouble
well,
isn't that I maybe used to know it. The trouble is that I have to remember that I know it.
Totally understand. Great. If you still want to join, we're going to leave some 1 minute more max. If you're having trouble joining, if you're trying to join, somebody is saying no, don't worry, you'll be fine. You'll be fine. You don't want to compete with Paul, right?
My memory used to be a steel trap. Now it's a steel sieve.
Ah, great. So we're just waiting. In another 35 seconds, we're going to go ahead. You can still join. Don't worry, it's Olympics. It's to participate, not to win. So don't be afraid of not winning. Just enjoy it.
This could end up being embarrassing if I get some questions wrong.
Well,
I
it's
shouldn't
the
have
thing
used
about the
my
game.
real name.
So the thing about the game is it's not even just about getting it right, it's also about doing it fast. So the faster you put it in, the more points you have. So
Yeah, but if
everybody
you
could
get it
get,
wrong, you still get 0 points. You have to get it right
well,
and fast.
that's true.
And I'm old,
Right
so
and
I have
fast.
slow
Yeah.
reflexes. That's my excuse.
Oh, it's part of the fun.
That took way too long. Oh, getting there. Getting there. I'm gonna have to throw one just to be wrong. See, if I say that out loud now, if I get one wrong, people will think I've done it on purpose. Now I'm thinking. I like avoid writing test cases. I'm almost caught up to you, Suman, but you pulled away a little bit on that one. Oh, I dropped into third. That's not good.
It's not over until it is over.
I don't like the term QA, by the way. Quality assurance, the only thing I can assure is that there's bugs in the software that I haven't found. I can't assure quality in any way, so I'm a tester, not a quality assurance person.
Well, point. valid point. Oluwakem, inshallah, don't give up. It's not over until it's over. Who knows? You might answer the next question so fast and, just shut up. Again, I guess the real test here is not really about the answers.
You're so fast, Suman. Uh-oh.
Okay, I think everybody knows this. Interested. It's not over until it's over. I'm here to motivate you. You can still do it. You can beat Suman. You can beat Paul.
I think I don't think we should be allowed to win, personally.
Yeah, definitely.
I was distracted talking to you. I took way too long on that one.
To answer that. I see.
Oh,
Ooh,
no! Suman
really?
intentionally got one wrong to drop out of first place.
Interested. Well, yeah, I think she did that. Well, Suman, you can continue your game and do it right all through if you like. It's fine. We're still going to pass it on to the participants.
A bug-free release mindset promotes undue stress, is what it does. You can't have a bug-free release. So I took a long time with that one because there wasn't actually a good answer.
Valid point. Valid point. Okay, I think we've got two more questions. By the way, there's a cash prize, a meal prize for the winner. It's always the favorite part of test drive.
It doesn't ensure anything, by the way. It helps increase the likelihood, but it can't ensure it. Need to use safety language.
I'm sure Ibrahim hears this. Yeah, as much as possible. I think it's maybe the way we've done language around testing. Assurance, ensuring, and all of those things. When in reality, nothing is assured.
Correct. Last question. I'm going to get it wrong because I don't want to win anything.
Well, it's fine. You got do it. We're still going to pass it on to the participant anyway. So yeah.
I'm waiting till the very end. There we go.
Okay. Okay. Who is the winner? Ooh, Suman came up. Yes, Suman, congratulations. Thank you for participating. Then Paul also came there. Suman, you almost didn't hear what we were saying here. You can unmute your mic. Can you hear me? I'm not sure Suman can hear me, but I'm just gonna go ahead. So Suman was very focused on the quiz. I guess that's why she was answering very fast, very, very fast. Well done. Thank you for participating, Suman. So I'm sure Suman and yeah, okay, great. You can hear me now. I was saying you were focused, super focused on the quiz, trying to answer it, almost immediately.
Well, because I changed, like my talk to my career journey. Otherwise, all these things were what I was going to talk in my talk anyway.
I see. We'll still have subsequent sessions. One of these days, we'll love to have you to talk on another topic. So thank you. By the way, Suman and Paul, I'm sure you'll be happy to pass the prize down to the participant. So who is MS? Who is MS? If we don't have MS on the call, you need to indicate in chat comments so we know it's you. Else we move to the next person rebate. Somebody is going to go home with the cash prize right now, and it has to be somebody that is here. MS, are you here? Go in. Drop a comment if you're MS. Don't worry, it can be faked. If there are 2 MS comments, then we know that one is fake. I'm seeing 6. I'm seeing
feeling like an Arsenal team.
Interested. Okay, Ribbit, are you here? John, yes. Arsenal got a stray bullet again. I don't know why Arsenal. Why Arsenal? Why? Okay, Ribbit is here. Ribbit is here. MS, one final check. If you're here, if you're not, the $25.
Oh, MS is here.
MS is here.
Saidu Anu.
Okay, sorry, Oluwatosin. Sorry about that. MS is here to claim its prize. So that prize will go to Musa Saidu. It's $25. You can buy a nice hot meal with that. Thank you for participating. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Ribbit, Maido, John, Amal, Fatih, Shalom, Adeshola, everybody in the top 10. Thank you for doing this. Thank you for participating in the quiz, and thank you for doing so well. Please reach out on Slack. The way to get your prize is to go on Slack to send however you want to receive this to Ibrahim on Slack. Please drop the link to join our Slack again in chat. Join Slack, reach out to Ibrahim at ABC on Slack, and you get your prize. Thank you very much for participating. It's a pleasure to do this. Always the fun part. When you do a lot of work day in, day out, if you sometimes forget how to have fun, right? So it's why we love to include this bit and let people just flex their muscles. And you see, the questions are not necessarily exam questions that, oh, I'm struggling to answer. You almost already know the answer for all of those questions. So thank you. So shout out to our community partners, Destin Academy, Axoloto, Web3 Africa, the QA School, Case Stack, ANST. Thank you for being a part of this. You can still be our community partner. If we work with all communities across boards, regardless of your location. Testing academies in the UK. There's one in Ghana. There's different people from different spaces. So feel free if you want to be a part of this. You have a community. Reach out to us at hello@getscandium.com. We're happy to partner with you. And you can also just send us a message on LinkedIn. We'll be happy to also work together. Connect with us on social media if we get to. And next quarter, we'll be having the software test drive again. It's now a quarterly event. Who knows? Maybe that might change to monthly based on the feedback we get from you. Visit app.getscandium.com to try out our no-code test automation tooling. AI powered. You can do AI assisted debugging. Quite a lot of amazing stuff you can do with it. Our YouTube channel is filled up with videos and how-tos that can assist you in doing this. TestPod is your go-to test management tooling. You can manage testing across all kinds of testing, manual, exploratory, automation. You can integrate to your tools, either your automation framework or your project management tools like Linear and ClickUp and Jira and all of those tools. Please share your feedback with us. Visit bit.ly/test drive next. Let's hear from you. What do you think about this? What do you like? What do you want us to improve? We'll be happy to listen to you and make this better next time. Finally, engage us on social media. We'd love to see your engagement. It's been a pleasure to lead this session. It's been a pleasure to have you, Paul, to have you, Suman, to have you, Oluwatosin, and to have all of you amazing folks who joined us today. Amazing session. I look forward to doing this again next quarter when we have the next edition of the software test drive. Till then, have a blast. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you for
Thanks,
having
everyone.
me. Cheers. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.